Repairs Universe bringing you another video today on the Apple iPhone 5. In today's video, we're going to show you the steps necessary to remove and replace the display assembly for your iPhone. Before we get started with our disassemble, let's review our suggested tools. Small Phillips screwdriver, suction cup, a spudger, iPhone 5-point pentalobe screwdriver, fine-tipped curved tweezers. Taking a look at our iPhone 5, you're going to notice a crack that extends across the entire display assembly. To get started with our disassemble, let's notice our pentalobe screws, one on either side of our lightning port. We can take our pentalobe screwdriver and slowly back out these two screws. With our pentalobe screws removed, we can now work on lifting our display assembly from the base of our iPhone. Let's use our suction cup on the home button side of our display assembly and take a proper grip of the outside of our iPhone case as we pull up on our suction cup. Be careful when pulling the display assembly away from the bottom of the phone, as it's still attached by a series of ribbon cables. You'll notice the ribbon cables run under a metal protective plate that's secured with 3 Phillips screws. Let's go ahead and remove those screws so we can access our ribbon cable connections. Here's our 3 connectors removed pretty easily with our tweezers. And now we have our existing display assembly completely removed from the base of our iPhone. At this point, we can bring in our replacement part and compare it to our existing display. You'll notice we're going to have to transplant a few of our components, starting with our home button, as well as our earpiece speaker and front-facing camera. Let's get started with our reassembly with the transplant of our components over to our replacement part now. Starting with our LCD backplate, we've got a total of 6 Phillips screws, 2 on either side of the backplate, as well as 1 on the top and bottom of it. We can now remove the 2 Phillips screws securing our home button backplate, as well as the 2 screws securing our earpiece speaker bracket. Our earpiece speaker bracket should be loose and easy to lift up from our display assembly. When removing the home button, it's not necessary, but it is helpful to use a heat gun or a blow dryer to heat up the adhesive, making it more pliable for removal. We also used heat on the contacts for our earpiece speaker when removing the front-facing camera assembly. Our LCD backplate should be pretty easy to lift off. There's 2 housing rings that also need to be transplanted. We used our heat gun here to soften up the securing glue and remove first the front-facing camera ring, then the proximity sensor housing. Let's now start the reassembly of our new display, starting with the proximity sensor housing and the trim ring here for the front-facing camera. Let's now align our home button here into place. We can remove the plastic protection on the back of our LCD. Bringing in the back plate for our home button now, securing it with the 2 Phillips screws. Be certain that our contacts and ribbon cable looks to be in the right place. We can now reinstall our front-facing camera assemblies, starting with our microphone into our black grommet and folding the front-facing camera into its housing, as well as the proximity sensor, and aligning our 2 contacts here for our earpiece speaker. Let's position our LCD backplate and secure it with the 6 Phillips screws. We can now position the earpiece speaker over the front-facing camera assembly and bring in the bracket for that, securing it with the 2 screws. Let's position our newly rebuilt display assembly towards the base of our iPhone now so that we can connect our 3 ribbon cables, pushing them firmly into the motherboard, securing their connections, and reinstalling the metal protective plate over the 3 ribbon cables, and securing it with 3 Phillips screws. Let's now bring our display assembly flush with the base of our phone, starting with the top lip, and working ourselves down the sides until we get to the home button. And we are completely flush and secure, where we can reinstall our 2 pentalobe screws, one on either side of the lightning port, At this point, we can now power on our phone to check for full functionality. And there you have it, another successful repair by repairsuniverse.com. All of the replacement parts and tools that you've seen in this video today are available at www.repairsuniverse.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.